Welcome to Investor Evolution Elevate, the podcast designed to help busy PAs, NPs, and Dr. Mamas like you rise higher in every area of life. Whether you're looking to create financial freedom, reclaim your time, or find harmony while thriving in your career, this show is for you. Join me each week as we uncover strategies to grow your wealth, nurture your personal development, and elevate your life to new heights so you can live with purpose, joy, and confidence. Hey everyone, I am so grateful to have you with me today. Today, we are going to talk about mindset shifts for resilience and growth. So in January, the beginning of the year, this is the perfect time to truly set the intention for the year. Last week, I talked about how my word for the year is elevate. And so we're going to start with elevating our mindset. We're going to talk this week about mindset shifts for resilience. Especially in medicine, we need resilience. So let's dive in today. Let me ask you this question. What separates those who thrive in challenging situations from those who feel stuck? It all starts with mindset. Today, we're diving into those mindset shifts that will help you build resilience, help you overcome obstacles, prevent burnout, and continue growing, whether it's in your career, your personal life, or your financial journey. We know as medical professionals, these shifts can be especially powerful in helping us find balance, clarity, and confidence in life and work. I like the word harmony. There really is no balance, right? There's no perfect work-life balance, but we can find harmony between the two. Sometimes we are heavily focused on work and sometimes we are heavily focused on our family, and we have to find that harmony in those different times. Okay, why is this important? Mindset directly affects how we approach challenges, both in medicine and our personal life, as well as in our financial growth. And really, we want to find ways to build all aspects of our life, elevate all aspects of our life, not just our careers, not just our family, but also our personal growth and development, our financial future, our wealth creation, our generational wealth creation. All of those things, we need the right mindset to move forward. As we all know, in demanding fields like ours, in the medical field, having mental resilience and a growth-oriented mindset will help us decrease our stress levels. It'll prevent burnout and also helps open doors to new possibilities. What are we talking about today? So the key mindset shifts that we'll discuss today are adopting a growth mindset. Number 2, reframing failure as feedback. Number 3, focusing on what we can control. Number 4, practicing gratitude and optimism. And number 5, taking consistent and somewhat imperfect action. So key mindset shifts that we're going to talk about. Number 1, adopting a growth mindset. And this is not new. This is a refresher for all of us. And especially for those of us in medicine, right? What do? We learn. We are continually learning. We are continually looking at studies, looking at the new research, seeing what's being updated, what things that as we learn more, we need to change our practice. So that growth mindset is really inherent in all that we do. What exactly is a growth mindset if we were going to put a definition on it? It's the belief that skills, knowledge, intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. Your brain is not stagnant. It is always learning and growing, and you can build. So why is a growth mindset important? Obviously, it helps us view challenges as opportunities for improvement and not just obstacles. It also encourages curiosity, adaptability, and ongoing development. Again, going back to research, and the more we know, the more we're learning about different things, we're changing what we're doing to optimize our patients' care And we need to be doing that in our life as well. We need to be adopting that growth mindset as we're always taking in new information. How is that helpful for us? What does that change in our life? And then using that to build a better outcome in all aspects of life. Another way I like to think about it is from the patient's perspective, because they come to us to find out what's going on. And if we can help them explore different options and realize that changing some of the things that they're doing may help them achieve better health. And if they're open to that, it's it's so much better for the patient, right? And we know that. And so when our patients come to us and they're not in a growth mindset, if they're in a closed and fixed mindset, I'm not changing, this is what I'm doing, then it is a lot harder, right? So from both perspectives, if we are all open to growth and learning and trying something new, think about how much easier that is to treat that patient versus the person that comes in and says, well, I'm not changing. Okay, well, I can give you a medication for your diabetes, but if you're not going to change your diet, you're probably going to need more and it's not going to fix anything, right? It's just delaying things. So having that growth mindset for us personally, you can see how that helps you in all aspects of your life learn and grow and build upon what you know, what you're doing. And right, it's like iterating. Every time we learn and grow and we do something new, we can improve, we can change, and we can lead to better outcomes. One way we can use this growth mindset is when we're faced with a challenge, an obstacle, you can stop and think, how can I grow from this? What is the lesson I'm going to learn through this? And if you start looking for the opportunity to learn and grow, such a different way to approach that problem or that obstacle than, oh my gosh, this is so horrible. I can't believe this is happening to me, right? The energy feels so much different. And so, and this is a practice, right? This is not something that we all do naturally. It's something we're going to have to work on and build that muscle of mindset shifting to how am I growing from this? What is this going to teach me? What lesson do I get from this challenge? And that's something that takes time and reflection. So no judgment. What I'm starting to see and understand is we're not going to automatically be hit with the problem and be like, "Oh, this is so fantastic. What's the lesson I'm going to learn from it? How am I going to grow from this?" That's not how it's going to be. You're going to hit with that challenge, you're going to be frustrated, but what you're going to find is you're going to catch it so much faster. Maybe you would be hit by that problem and for days or weeks, you'd be frustrated, you'd be down. And as you start this practice, you're going to find you're going to catch that negative reaction faster. Maybe instead of a week of, oh, woe is me, maybe it's only a couple of days before you're like, okay, I'm ready to stop feeling sorry for myself and actually look at this problem from an outside perspective, from a different perspective that's helpful. And then maybe you go from the couple of days to a day where you're catching it faster. And soon you're going to get to the point where you're going to be hit with obstacles, you're going to get frustrated for a few minutes, and then you're going to be able to, okay, this sucks. I don't like this, but how can I use this to my advantage? What can I learn from this? You're just going to start catching it faster. I think that's really important. This kind of leads into our next point. Number 2, reframing failure as feedback. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Every setback brings valuable information to help us improve and move forward. For me, thinking about failure as part of the process and necessary for success really helps me realize it's not a failure. It's anything but. It's feedback. It's a lesson learned. It's a way to not do it in the future. Some of the things that it helps us do is shift that fear of failure that holds us back into seeing it as feedback helps us build confidence and that resilience. And it helps us start taking more risks and trying new things because we're not being paralyzed by that fear of failure or that we have to do it perfect. Perfection is the enemy of progress, right? When I start thinking about this failure as feedback, I like to relate it to our differential diagnosis. We may have 3, 5 things that we think may be going on with a patient. And so what do? We may order a test. And a negative test isn't bad because it just tells us, okay, great, that gives me more information to realize this and this diagnosis are off the table. That's not what we're dealing with. And now I get to focus on these ones over here. And if we can think about our failures in that way as just, is it a positive test or a negative test? Is it leading us towards this possibility or that possibility? It really gives it a different connotation. It doesn't feel bad. It's just, that's more information that I needed to rule this out. So just as that negative test will rule out possibilities and bring us closer to the true cause of the problem, the same goes for life and business. Every failure is a clue that helps us get closer to success. So I think that for me, seeing it in that way and relating it back to how we're working up a patient, it just feels so much less heavy, doesn't it? It just feels like, okay, this is just the process I have to go through. And I think that's a great way to look at it. So a practical tip here is if you're a journaler, it may be a good idea in your journal to have a section for feedback. So you can start tracking the lessons that you're learning from those obstacles, those setbacks, those challenges that came up, and identify areas for improvement. When we can start looking at it in that way and reflecting on it, it reframes those problems in such a great way that you're gaining from it and you're learning from it. And again, it just shifts the energy to a different feeling for that issue. So instead of viewing something as a failure, write down what you're learning and how you can apply it moving forward. Number 3, focus on what you can control. This one is for my warriors out there, those of us that like to worry about what could happen. This is a good one. We often stress about things that are beyond our control, that may never happen. And how many of us play out that doomsday scenario in our head over and over and over again? True resilience comes from focusing on what is within our power. What can we control? Why is this important? This really, think about it. When you are overwhelmed, are you overwhelmed by what's actually happening? Or are you overwhelmed by all the possibilities and all the things that you're worried about? My guess is you're overwhelmed by all the things. I do this, and this is one of the things that I'm working on right now. When we can focus on what we can control, what we have control over, it helps reduce that feeling of overwhelm by narrowing our focus to actionable steps that we can take. And it builds a sense of calm and confidence, even in stressful situations, because you can only control yourself and what you can control. And again, it's catching it faster when you realize that's beyond my control. I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to worry about it. That starts decreasing that stress level and that feeling of overwhelm. When I think about this situation and controlling what we can control, I think about that patient that comes in and they're either super duper frustrated or very emotional. And we cannot control their reactions. We can't control what they say, what they do, and it is reliant on us to keep that equanimity about us and not rise to their level of emotion. right? I think that is where, again, this sense of, controlling what you can, letting go of what you can't is very essential to keeping that stress level down. And the same principle applies to life, right? Whether it's with our kids, our finances, our relationships, we can only control what we can control. A practical tip that you can use here is actually creating a list. If you're in a situation, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're really frustrated, stop, take a minute, write down what is it that you have control of in this situation and what don't you have control over? And focus on the list that you have control over. I think it's really important because that gives you action steps and it takes you out of that realm of spiraling thoughts of all the bad that can happen and actually focusing on what you can do about that situation. That's one way that you can use this. And again, this is going to take time and you may need to walk away from the situation. And it may be later that day when you can decompress and spend some time actually contemplating what's going on. Why are you so frustrated? What do I have available to me? What am I able to control? What can I not control? Let those things go. That's the hard part, is letting those things go and just focusing on the things that you can control. All right, so number 4, practicing gratitude and optimism. Gratitude shifts your focus to what is good in your life, and optimism fuels hope for the future. It is hard to be negative and grateful at the same time. When you start shifting your focus to gratitude, it changes a lot because you realize how much you really have. And I think it's important because it helps you build that resilience by being able to see the silver lining, even in difficult situations. Seeing that silver lining is not unrealistic. For example, I applied for this job that I have now about a year ago, and I went through the process and they ended up taking the job down and not hiring for it. I can see now how beneficial that was for me because my stepdad passed away in January of last year. Had I had that job, I never would have been able to be there for my mom like I was able to be. That's the silver lining. Now, in the moment, was it difficult? Was I frustrated? Yes. And so basically, when we start shifting that focus and we start doing it earlier versus, a year later or whenever later, when we can start seeing these obstacles and saying, okay, this is frustrating. This sucks. I don't like this, and it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be devastated. It's okay to have those emotions. And when we can start seeing how this is going to be, how we're grateful for the situation, even in the difficult things, when bad things happen, and they do, and they're going to, there are good things that come out of it. You hear the saying, when disaster strikes, look for the helpers, right? There's those people that are going to come in and provide benefit for those who are struggling. Same thing with us as we're going through difficult situations. When we can start being grateful for what is good in that situation, it shifts the meaning and it shifts the impact of that bad situation to something good. And we know that gratitude is scientifically proven to reduce stress and improve our overall well-being. And the saying, what we think about, we bring about. If we are hopeful for the future, if we are optimistic, if we're seeing things that we're grateful for, we're going to see more of that. We're going to expect more of that. Your reticular activating system is going to start going into overdrive looking for the good. If you're worrying about things, if you're thinking about all the negatives, guess what you're going to find? You're going to find all the negative. So it's all of that same stuff over and over again when we When we think about the good things, when we focus on the good things, those are the things that are going to continue to flow into our lives because that's what we're looking for. So, how can we apply this to our life? I recommend starting a gratitude practice each morning. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for, and maybe even one positive outcome that you're working towards. What is the thing that you're hoping to achieve? Maybe that day or that week or that month, something positive that you're working towards. There's always something that you can think of that you're grateful for. And I think it's a good exercise for your brain to start, your subconscious to really start looking for those things that are good in your life. It helps build a positive mindset as well. Number 5, taking consistent, imperfect action. Now, we're all here. A lot of us are probably that very type A, have to do it right, have to get it perfect type personalities. I know that was me for sure. One thing we've learned, perfectionism can lead to paralysis. We feel like we have to do it right. And if we're not going to do it right, we're just not going to do it at all. But that doesn't lead to progress. That leaves you stagnant and stuck where you're at. Whereas progress happens when you show up consistently, even if things aren't perfect, and you take the steps and you do the reps, you put in the work. When we put in that consistent action, even if it's not perfect, it's going to build momentum and confidence over time. What's interesting about confidence is you don't have confidence and then you do the thing. You do the thing and you build confidence. Just like think back when we were in school and we were on our rotations. And the first day you showed up to that rotation, maybe it was in the ER or whatever, you were scared to do anything because you didn't know anybody, you didn't know where things were, you didn't know the system, you didn't know the routine. But as you were there for that 6 weeks or 3 months or however long you were there for, you learned, you grew, you built your confidence. By the end, you were able to come in and learn and grow in that environment because you've built up that consistent action. And now you have confidence in yourself and your abilities because you've learned. Just like that, confidence builds over time. Another reason why this is important is because it encourages you to start, even if conditions aren't ideal. Maybe you want to learn, maybe you want to invest in real estate, but you're not quite sure where to start. That's okay. It's all about learning as you go and starting to build up that reservoir of knowledge so that when you're ready to take that step, you can jump in with confidence, right? So some practical tips. If we start setting mini goals, small achievable goals that will help us build momentum without that pressure of perfection, that's what we want to do. So maybe it is, I want to grow a portfolio of properties that brings in passive income for me to live off of. Okay, that's one of my goals. I don't have that right now, and I'm not going to wait until I'm perfect to get there because then it won't ever happen. But I can start learning about different areas of investing that I want to be in, different property types, different types of real estate, whether I'm passive or active in there. And as I'm learning and gaining information, I will know when I can start moving into those areas of investing to achieve my goals. But I don't have to do it perfectly, and I don't have to wait either. I can acquire knowledge, and once I have enough and I feel confident and have people who can support me, I can move into some of those investments. Another step I want you to take or tip would be to ask yourself, what's the smallest next step I can take today to move me towards my goal? And once you figure that out, do it. Don't wait. Don't say, okay, I could do that, and then never do it. Take that step. What's the smallest step that you can do? What's the smallest step that you can take to move yourself forward? I want to take a minute or two to share with you how these 5 things have impacted me. Number 1, the growth mindset. 3-4 years ago, I was stuck in a career in an area of medicine that I hated. I felt it was soul sucking. And I dreaded going to work. I had panic attacks at times because I hated it so much, because I felt like I was stuck, right? I had a closed mindset. I was stuck here. This was the best I could do. This was the best job I could get. This was the most money I could make. And I had a limited mindset. I had a fixed mindset of this is all that I could do. Once I got into personal growth and development and realized this very thing, this growth mindset, it changed my life. And I realized most of the problem was me. It wasn't that job. It wasn't that employer. It was me because I had that fixed mindset. But it took me getting out of that situation in order to see. And it took me learning about personal growth, personal development to get to this place where I realized, and I could admit I was the problem there. And getting out of that environment was the best thing I could have done for myself. And I'm so grateful that I did. So, reframing failure as feedback, I left that job. I left that job to go to a telehealth company, which I loved. It was fantastic, but it was a startup company that didn't start up. But realizing that taking that step out of that environment and trying something new and realizing there was a whole nother world out there really allowed me to see that even though this job didn't work out, there's so much more out there for me. And I was able to shift. I was able to move so fluidly. Whereas before I'd been stuck in a job that I hated for so long. And it took me so long to get out of it that this time it was just a small shift. And I've been able to do that as needed because I can see this as, well, that test was negative. We'll just move to the next one. We'll look at this next opportunity, and really seeing those failures as valuable information to help me improve. Number 3, focusing on what I can control. So what I could control in that situation when that job was tanking was finding a different option. And I was able to do that so that the day that we were told that they were going to have to close their doors, I already had another job I signed for that day. So I was able to focus on what I could control. I couldn't control whether or not they were going to be able to keep their doors open, but I could control what I was able to do. And looking for a job and finding another opportunity. For practicing gratitude and optimism, I told you guys earlier, I do a gratitude practice every morning, and I voice memo it over to my friend Tana. And it's really been helpful, and it's really been interesting to see all the things. There is not a day that goes by that I cannot find 3 things that I'm grateful for. Never. And I guarantee you will get to that point either. If you can't find something that you're grateful for, you're not looking hard enough. You can do it. And then taking consistent and perfect action. For me, it's been in this realm of real estate investing. I've tried a lot of different things, and things have worked, things haven't. I've had some setbacks, and some could be considered failures, things that I didn't want to do, but it was all feedback, right? I learned these are the things that I don't want to do in real estate, and I learned that there are things that I love, and I'm working towards those. And is it perfect? Nope. Am I working on it every day, trying to learn and grow? Absolutely. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I love what I'm doing. I'm so grateful for it. So those are the things that in my life, how I've been using these different. So I gave you a lot of actionable steps with each one of those different mindset shifts. So that adopting a growth mindset, reframing failure as feedback, controlling or focusing on what you can control, practicing gratitude, and taking consistent action. At this point, I would recommend you choose one of those mindset shifts that resonated the most with you. Do you need to practice gratitude? Do you need to start seeing things more positive? Do you need to take those failures and see how they are beneficial for your future and how they're feedback to help you move forward. Whichever one resonated the most with you, I would encourage you to pick that one and start applying that through the week. Maybe it's adopting that growth mindset or focusing on only what you can control, but start with one shift and notice how it changes your perspective. With that, I will end with this statement that mindset isn't a one-time shift. It really is a daily practice. Start small, stay consistent, and watch how your life begins to elevate by changing just a little thing at a time. And as always, if this episode resonated with you, please like and subscribe, and please share it with someone, a friend, a coworker, a fellow PA mama who you feel might benefit. Let's keep elevating together. All right, everyone, until next time, take care.